Welcome into the Energy Tech Podcast presented by Upside Energy, where today we're filming live from ENTELEC 2026, and we are excited to welcome Russ Simonson with VEGA. Guys, welcome to Galveston.
Hey, Jeff, it is good to be here. I'm your co-host with the Energy Tech Podcast. I'm Mike Flores, and we are live right here in lovely Galveston, Texas at the Convention Center as part of ENTELEC 2026. And of course, we've got our great guest, Mr. Russ Simonson with VEGA. We got over to come on the show. He's actually at the booth right across from us here at about 300. You can catch them. And Russ, it's good to have you, man, here on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And, you know, when I think of VEGA, Russ, I always think of tank level. I realize that, you know, that's one of the biggest, I'd say a bread and butter for VEGA, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, before we even talk about that, tell me about what you personally do over at VEGA.
Well, I came to VEGA about 2 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
I'm a direct seller for VEGA.
Okay.
All of our team is direct sellers, so it's a really nice benefit to the customer to have somebody that they can come to and have their questions answered.
Awesome. So do you do some of the maybe boots on the ground site visits as well sometimes, or do you spend a lot of time just direct sales, or do you like to do some of the boots on the ground engagement?
I do some boots on the ground. You know, we go and help people set up their devices on site. My territory is a little bit different because I'm in the energy corridor of Houston.
Okay.
So I got to do a lot of office visits and a lot of lunch and learns as well. So kind of a combination, but it's very, very cool to be in that opportunity.
Awesome. So you would say, when you just said something, you said you're in the energy corridor. So you would say your target or your focus, would you say, are they oil and gas customers? Do you also have maybe like renewable natural gas, or is it a certain kind of customer?
I think one of the things that I really like about being with VEGA is I was a midstreamer for, a midstream sales guy for, years, most of my career.
Yeah.
I came to VEGA, and what I really love about it is that I get to visit every industry and learn about every industry. So, like last week, I was in a massive food and bev opportunity that we got in an HEB facility.
Yeah.
Wastewater plant. I didn't know how any of that worked, or ready mix. It's just neat. My curiosity allows flourishes under being able to have those opportunities to learn these new industries and utilize the expertise of somebody else.
So when you're bringing in VEGA's expertise, I did mention, there's lots of, you've got what I call a flagship product in terms of tank level. And usually that's one of the things, but fill me in a little bit more when someone thinks about VEGA, because I'm sure there's more under the hood about the company.
Well, I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that we also do pressure transmitters, differential pressure, hydrostatic, process pressure. It's one of the things that we've been doing actually longer than we've been doing level, but not as well known, especially here in the Americas. So.
Wow. So when someone thinks of that, you're talking about not just differential pressures, but that could be anything. Let's say it's critical infrastructure, oil, natural gas, chemical products, CO2s, I would imagine. Anything that you can move almost by pipe, right?
Correct. And you also have a lot of opportunities within level and, say, wastewater plants, where you're measuring hydrostatic level with submersible pressure transmitters. So there's a lot of different applications for it.
Yeah, us ourselves, the Energy Tech Podcast, we do have our sister organization, which is Upside Energy, and a lot of our customers, they're in the natural gas, oil and gas space, in production or midstream space. And one of the things I think is a challenge is always smaller tanks on chemicals, whether you're looking at glycol and other chemicals. And I do believe that VEGA does offer product lines in that regard besides large tanks, right?
That's correct. Yes, we do offer a lot of different applications when it comes to level. We have what we call our basic series radar, which is used a lot in water, wastewater, because it's very cost conscious, right?
Right.
But then we also have our Pro Series stuff that has all the Class 1 Div 1 approvals and all of the certifications that you might need in that application.
So I think you're right. I think so. So you filled me on something really cool, and that is that VEGA serves what we're going to call the critical infrastructure space, especially for the different classes in the division that you want to put the product in, right?
That's correct.
So you guys do that as well. And let me ask you, what do you think? You mentioned earlier you do lots of training, right? And when it comes to something like complexity, do you kind of help unravel that when it comes to setting that equipment up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that is really beneficial to a customer about having a direct sales model like Vega has is that we go to site, we take a look at your application, we analyze what it is. On top of, and then things that go over our expertise, we also have industry managers and product managers. So we have a lot of ability to be able to bring in expertise from people that have seen applications that maybe we have no idea what we're looking at as a direct seller, but we can get advice from people that have been doing it a lot longer than us in a specific industry or with a specific product.
Got it. So let me ask you this as well. Vega's got its product lines, and tell me about some of the just integration right out of the box. I always think of, like I said, I think Vega's a staple when you're talking about guided wave radar is very common. But, tell me about some of the out-of-box stuff that you guys are doing with your products, with your customers in energy.
Well, I think that one of the things that makes our product unique is you can set it up via Bluetooth if you buy a Bluetooth application. And being able to have that ability of being able to connect with that device off your phone, off your iPad, and be able to set it up very, very simply. It's a benefit to a lot of people, especially in energy, but wastewater seems to love that because then they don't have to go back to a PLC. They can just set it up right in front of the device.
Yeah, so you make a good point, especially if, a lot of those setups, they usually fall to a combination of people. What I mean by that is you might have instrumentation electrical do it. Sometimes you have automation do it. So you have an automation tech. Then you have this I&E tech. And then you have this cross person that usually combines both. And so it sounds to me like rather than doing point-to-point landing through a PLC, this is more about you set it up out of the box, less configuration. The complexity is actually reduced, right?
Yeah, one of our core values obviously is simplicity, and we want to make everything more simple for the customer. I mean, I think that's a good, good way for us to do that. And again, one of the things that I really love to do is when they get the device to go out to site, say, hey, let me help you set it up. Let me show you the first time, walk you through it, how to do it. And they seem to really appreciate that. So.
Got it. So if I'm a small, let's just use an example. If I'm a small producer, let's say in your area or somewhere else, and I know that I want to leverage a Vega product, what does that look like if someone wants to try it out and let's just say, I mean, again, lots of tank levels. You guys are, a well-known product line, but still someone wants to unbox and test. Is that something you guys do?
Absolutely. We offer free trial programs. I've actually got a company doing it right now that's measuring oil in small stationary crude containers.
Okay.
And they're testing it out to see how it works in that application. It'll work really well, but they wanted it proved. So.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot of these, they don't have to be necessarily sealed tanks. They're atmospheric works fine too if it's open to the atmosphere and things like that.
That's correct. Yes, we can measure. We have them in wastewater plants over weirs and stuff. So you see a lot of different types of applications and a lot of things that you can actually do with the devices themselves. Even in some of the all that Texas flooding that took place last year. You see a lot of them trying to use some of this to measure some of the flooding issues that they're having. So,
got it. Tell me one thing you think right now, if someone was to, again, I use the word look under the hood, but if you were doing that for Vega, what do you think is maybe one of the products that doesn't get as much love as it possibly can, especially if you're in this space?
I think definitely the pressure devices, where we have a ceramic seal on one of our Pro Series pressure devices that really is resistant. It's 10 times harder than steel. So it's actually a very good for real abrasive applications.
Okay.
And people don't always know that about us. When you have a ceramic seal, it's something completely different. And so that it doesn't get a lot of love until they see it, until they've used it, and they realize this is really, really good.
Okay, and this is unique to being a pressure transmitter, is what
correct.
You're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and if I was going to apply this product that doesn't get as much love, give me the top 3 places you think you might see it. Will I see it in a refinery? Do I see it in a certain plant type situation? Or where might I see it? Or where can I apply it?
You'll see it in a lot of different oil skids.
Okay.
When they're trying to, and we use like a mud truck for fracking. We'll use differential pressure to measure even density in that way, or flow through an orifice plate, that kind of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of different areas that you can use it where it's super abrasive, but it would work really, really well.
Wow. So I get it. Vega's got quite a way for them to be reached, but you serve a specific area. Is that kind of that? Would you say is it here in the Texas area in Houston?
Well, my territory is pretty unique because I deal with a lot of OEMs. I deal with a lot of EPCs.
Okay.
And, a lot of times I'll do all the work and, it ends up going somewhere completely else. Somebody else buys it, which is, it's absolutely fine for us because we're non-commissioned salespeople. We all work together as a team. So, I mean, I'm just here to sell Vega. So.
You said something that was very interesting. You mentioned EPCs. And if anyone that doesn't know, those are usually your engineering, procurement, and construction groups. So those EPC groups, are they looking at that product kind of early on? Because usually when an EPC is involved, they're part of the whole turnkey package and sometimes. So is that something, hey, where Vega can help spec something early on before you even have a greenfield or brownfield application?
That's the goal. It is definitely a goal of especially the lady at the booth and myself.
Okay.
We want to get our products spec'd in, get on AVLs so that they know that they have options besides just our competitor. So.
Yes, I got it. So in other words, Vega's not an afterthought of a product. Really, this is something you want to consider if you're moving products at your facility, brownfield, greenfield applications. Think ahead with Vega, right? Is what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you personally, what do you hope to take away from being here at ENTELEC yourself?
I've walked this show before with when I was at another company and found some success and some contacts. I think that we want to learn a little bit more about what this conference is all about.
Sure.
And figure out if this is a good place for us to be able to promote our product.
Got it. Well, you know what? I enjoyed having you on the show. I think that was good. Again, for me, I've been in the business. I know that capability of Vega, but if you don't, you can catch Vega here at the Energy Tech Podcast. They're right across from us, right here at ENTELEC 2026. It is great to have you on the show. Thanks you for taking the time, man.
Appreciate it.
And really just talking about Vega. And again, I'm your co-host, Mike Flotis with the Energy Tech Podcast here at ENTELEC 2026. Catch us and like and subscribe. That was good.
Thanks.